What is going on, everybody? We are live in what I would define as probably the most horrific show to date. And that's saying something given our show. I would even imagine we're probably having audio issues that I won't know until halfway through when someone mentions it in the comments. And this was after I invited quite a few people to come and take a look at this for the first time. I am the host tonight, James. Usually it's Michael, but Michael is sick. I also got co-host, and you know him as the Bitter Bastard. Does a lot better than this freaking show. It's Tim. Tim, you are still muted, and holy shit volume. Told you.
You sound just fine.
I sound fine to you, but probably not on the thing. I will adjust that.
I hadn't spoken yet. How would you know that I'm muted?
Not you, me. I'm loud.
Yeah, well.
So you keep talking. I'm gonna get it on down.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yes, this is the kind of excitement that you can expect on the show when Michael's not here to talk for 80% of the show.
And somehow still say nothing. Like, literally, talk on the show for like 80% of it and say nothing. By the way, guys, let me know if the show, if I've gotten a lot better. I should have quietened down quite a bit. And I did that for you, Shar. For you, madam. And, yeah, so we got a lot of things to talk about. First off, we're going to be starting with the Rogue One trailer. And guess what, Tim?
Yeah.
I don't have that edited. Edited. Yeah, I know, right? So what I'm going to do is we're going to do this live. Mofos. So hold on, I'm going to get that set up. But tell me, did you watch the Star Wars Rogue?
I did.
How do you feel about it?
It's fine. You know, it's not. I don't really feel like I'm getting much different than I've already seen. You know, I'll watch it. You know, I mean, it looks. You know, the look of it is cool. It looks cool. I like seeing the AT-ATs, you know, on the beach and stuff like that. That looks interesting. I really don't know much about it other than, you know, it's okay. Well, it's the story of the rebels getting the Death Star plans.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it added a lot. It was like, oh, look what we can do with CGI. The magic of CGI.
Magical.
All right, you wanna play a bit of it? Let the folks see it.
Sure.
The world is coming undone.
The world.
Imperial flags
Ain't it well?
across the galaxy.
Can you be trusted without your shackles?
Let's just get this over with, shall we? We've a mission for you.
She's so badass. Because she's a woman. And that's obviously what makes her badass.
A major weapons test is imminent. We need to know how to destroy it.
If you're really doing this, I want to help. Good. I've been recruiting for the rebellion for a long time.
We destroyed our home. I fight the Empire now.
I fear nothing. All is as the Force wills it.
The captain says you are a friend. I will not kill you.
Thanks.
Do you get it? It's funny. He won't kill her. Or it, I guess. Because robots don't have sexes. Was that sexist of me to assume that it was a male robot?
There isn't much time. Every day they grow stronger.
is a 97.6% chance of failure.
He means well.
This is our chance to make a real difference.
All right, there it goes. Now, just for you guys, just so you know, Tim can barely hear me. But you guys can hear me just fine. So we're doing this for you, okay? But yeah, that adds absolutely jack all. I don't know anything more about the movie than I did beforehand. So, I mean, it looks nice, but why don't you tell me something? There was also a part in there that I thought was interesting, Tim, where, you know, they had the AT-ATs. I don't know if you remember this, but they shot a rocket launcher. They shot a rocket at the AT-AT and did some damage to it.
Sure.
This happened before Hoth.
Right.
So they shot a rocket at it and did damage. And then at Hoth, they were like, you know what, that did damage, but it's not sporting enough. So let's jump in these, like, ships and
trip it.
Yeah, and trip it. and see what the hell happens.
Yeah.
I'm still loud to them, by the way, so you're going to barely be able to hear me, is what this means. So turn volume up on your side. But yeah, so that's what that means. So, you know, screw the easy way of taking them down. Let's trip the effers at Hoth. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, I think that anytime that you do a film that's a prequel, you're gonna have all these kind of trip ups, unless the person making it is, you know, super anal about it, like Michael or something. You know, and the sad truth is most of the time when you get these kind of films made, they're almost never made by people like us, you know, who will watch something and it's lodged in our head forever. We know every nuance of every scene, every line of dialogue, every serial number on a spaceship or whatever. They don't know that shit. And so that's how you end up with stuff like that. Because, you know, you'll see interviews with, or not interviews, but if you remember that SNL skit with William Shatner when he was hosting, and they did the whole thing where he was at the Star Trek convention, and it's like, so in episode 62 where you open the safe, what was the combo of that safe? I have a bet with my friend. You know, he's like, I don't know. That was like 40 years ago. It was just a job, you know.
Right.
So, you know, it's one of those things I can let it go. But then, you know, I'm not a Star Wars fanatic about that kind of stuff.
That's right. When Michael rewatches this, he's going to get pissed off at you, assuming he watches it at all. But yeah, he's going to get all kinds of pissed off.
When aren't I pissing him off?
Yeah. When did it become the job of trailers to not tell you anything but just throw stuff on there? It seems like a lot, especially sci-fi, just throw stuff up but don't really tell you anything. It's like, look what we can do with CG. Well, is that just me? Because it seems like, I mean, they did it. It seemed like they did it on Star Trek, and now they're doing it with Star Wars.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's more of a problem of just modern trailers, the way they're put together. There's been some that are so bad that I've been able to predict the ending of a movie because they show it in the trailer, and I know the average moviegoer will watch it and go, "Oh, I didn't notice that." But if you're someone who's a real moviegoer like I am, I mean, I go every week, and I watch a lot of Netflix and DVDs and whatever. When you see something, you go, "Oh, I bet that's the ending." And
Right.
I've seen that a lot of times, where you can actually, almost guess the ending, and it's kind of infuriating, really. I wish they would stop giving away too much in trailers.
Right.
And the problem with this trailer, I mean, it's a good trailer. Don't get me wrong. I think it's entertaining. It makes you go, "Oh, that looks interesting to watch," but it just looks like a hodgepodge of scenes just thrown together because they look cool, not because they're trying to tell you give you an idea of what your storyline is or anything. But I don't know.
Disappoint. Talk about another thing disappointing. Let's talk about something else. See, I picked all the topics tonight, and none of them are what you're interested in. So I did that on purpose.
That's all right. Michael does that to me all the time.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what the show's about. Picking stuff that you really don't care about.
Yeah.
Star Trek Discovery. We've talked about that a little bit. We'll probably talk about it next time too, when Michael's back and feeling better, because he had watched Sausage Party apparently, and that makes you sick, is what he was saying after watching Sausage Party. Great sex scene, I've heard though. So you guys should watch it for the
what
sex
he described. Holy crap!
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Star Trek Discovery is really starting to piss me off. And the reason is, we kind of discussed this beforehand. What I hate about Star Trek Discovery is not that they don't have a good idea, not that it's not something that may be interesting, but they are pandering out the ass. Pandering. Because when you look at what they were talking about, because they recently did all of these, this is what the show is going to be about. And it was like, for instance, it was like, it's not going to be a captain, which that's interesting. I like that concept. But it's definitely going to be a female, because we need diversity. But we don't know how diverse that female is. Their words, literally, we don't know how diverse that female is going to be. They also said, we're definitely going to have a gay character. Definitely. Because Star Trek is all about the new frontier. First off, there have been gay characters, homosexual characters in other TV shows. It's not
Deep Space Nine, right?
Yeah. Well, I was going to get to that. It's not as groundbreaking nowadays. But, and that's what I was going to say, in Deep Space Nine, they had a female-on-female kiss. They had a homosexual, not necessarily a relationship, but they had a scene.
A tryst.
Yeah, they actually, the character was bisexual, and she was polyamorous. And the thing about Star Trek is it does break social norms, and that's what it was originally started with, but that's not necessarily what it was about. They didn't pander and say, we have the first African-American woman on our set as a main character, even though she was a communications officer, unlike a captain, or anything like that. It just happened to be there. If you know what I'm saying? They were there like it was normalized. It wasn't used as a selling point so they can make more money. And that's what pisses me off. I think they're just doing it as a selling point versus doing it to make things better. You know? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, here's the thing. It does seem, ever since they started doing the reboot films, it does seem like they really feel like they have to, like you're saying, advertise stuff like that when it really should be a non-issue. If you want to do it, if you want to have it in there, have it organic to your story, and you don't have to be gay character. We put a gay gay character in the movie. You don't have to. Okay, you're someone who watches Doctor Who. They've had plenty of gay and bisexual. Captain Jack Harkness, he's polyamorous. And then you have Madame Vastra and Jenny. They're a lesbian couple. But nobody, it's not, you never read like, the gay character is on Doctor Who this week. No, because it's put in there as normalized and nobody gives a shit. Right. And so they don't feel the need to have to pump it up to get people to watch.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's my point. Doctor Who is a perfect example. You even had with Matt Smith, and I forget, but there was a scene where he even pretended to seduce one of the male, and I forget, it was a male companion. And he pretended to seduce them to get away from a Dalek or whatever. Right. And it was just a normalized thing. And even with Tennant, Doctor Who is perfect. I'm glad you brought that up. Even with Tennant and his last run, he hooked up Captain Jack with somebody.
Right.
if you remember. If you want to point that out, if you want to say, hey, we're going to have this in there, then have it as a part of the trailer or something like that. Don't pander about it. I don't know. It's frustrating, and it's going to kill Star Trek Discovery, or STD, as it's known.
STD.
Yeah, because you have Star Trek Voyager,
Star Trek
STD,
STD.
DS9, Discovery, Star Trek Discovery. Oh, and Firefly, Jessica Jones. See, it's done all the time. So first off, this isn't groundbreaking, so don't act like you're doing anything special, because you're not.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do it, then just make it something normalized. It's normalizing in our culture. I'm not saying that we don't still have bigots out there, but I am saying it's becoming a lot more normalized, a lot easier. And the more you show it in media as easy, the more it'll be easier in culture. So stop trying to make money off of it and just do it. And you know what? I feel confident that CBS and Paramount are watching this show. So
they do every week.
Yeah, this would be the part where Michael looks behind him at the stuffed animal or whatever the hell that
Jimmy
is.
the Giant Pooh.
Yeah, Jimmy the Giant Pooh, and it agrees with him. That's where that would be.
Yeah, I do agree with you, because if you want to portray gay characters as normal, which they are, then you don't need to publicize it like it's a freak.
Right.
Like, oh, look, there's something weird. We're putting something new. It's like, not, there's gay people in everybody's life. Some people are out of the closet, some people aren't, but they're out there, and that's in the future. We're supposed to, accept that, in the future, that kind of sexuality is a non-issue, and that's great. And the same thing with having a female captain. We have female captains in our military. We have female generals. Who gives a shit? Just make the show, have your female captain, have a gay crew member. Who cares? You don't need to publicize it like it's something like an aberration, something unique, because there are gay characters on TV shows all over television.
Right.
So, I think Doctor Who is the perfect example of integrating gay characters or bisexual characters or strong female characters into a show and not making a big hoopla about it, because it is normal. It's not something that you need to act like you're putting on a freak show or something. It's accepted.
And here's my thing. If you want to be brave, you want to really be brave, do a transsexual polyamorous character and then see what happens. Because again, it's the safest, bravest thing they've ever done. And it is sickening to me. Because I just, like you said, I think it should be normalized. It should be Doctor Who. It should be Jessica Jones. It should be everything else that we've seen. And this is not why I watch Star Trek anyway. Deep Space Nine, you had Captain Sisko, a African-American captain. And that wasn't a huge, I mean, they did pump that up, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't, oh, we're definitely having a black captain. It was just a strong male character who was an African-American, and it's just great. And by the way, apparently me and Milo Yiannopoulos, who is a well-known homosexual conservative, have sex, and that's just been proven.
Fair enough.
In the chat, yeah. So I'm glad we could bring that up, because that's proven.
What you're saying though about Avery Brooks on Deep Space Nine, they didn't, like you said, it's not they were like, oh my god, there's a black captain on Star Trek. This is more, like I said, this is the J.J. Abrams Star Trek era thing where they're making a big effing deal, like they're breaking these taboos that, I hate to break it to them, but they've been broken on TV for a long time.
Right.
This isn't something innovative.
Well, and the interesting thing, too, is it's not like you can't call that out, because in DS9, they had an episode where he went back in time, and he tried to write a story in the 1920s. It was an interesting story, because he was him in the 1920s, and he was a writer, but no one knew that he was a black writer because it's the 1920s and no one would want a black writer.
Right.
And he wrote a story that was compelling, that they wanted to run, that was going to be a hit, but he made the captain, he made the captain African American. He basically wrote DS9 in the 1920s, and they had their social commentary on it. And they just did an episode dedicated to it. They didn't hype it up. They just did the episode and let people come to their own conclusions. And that's what Star Trek needs to be about. That's what Star Trek has been about when they try to do social issues. They don't call it out. They just do the episode and let you make your own decisions. And like you said, JJ is just destroying it, in my opinion, because it has to be about it, you know? And it's just sad.
Well, I'm not the biggest J.J. Abrams fan. I like he did Lost, and I thought that sucked ass. So,
I'm not one to watch every episode, so I couldn't watch Lost, obviously, because you miss a couple episodes.
Well, my biggest issue with Lost was I saw before the first episode came on, they did like a brief, like a 3-minute trailer on ABC, and I was watching and I go, huh, so they're like in purgatory or something. They're all dead. When I watched the trailer, and it was like, and then the big last episode, it was like, ooh, all the mysteries will be solved. What is it? Oh, they were kind of in purgatory. They're all dead. Oh, okay. Like 6 seasons of sitting through all this bullshit with a polar bear on an island and a smoke monster and all these codes to decipher, only to find out that it's basically like a 6-season long Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah.
Without the interesting components that made Jacob's Ladder a good film.
The thing I hate about that always annoys me. It's like and then he woke up. It's just horrible writing.
Oh yeah.
But let's continue on with horrible writing. Let's talk about a horrendous series where the main character, even though a woman is on fire and she's burning, 2nd-degree nerve damage, could die from it, because it's located on her breasts, the Flash won't save her because he doesn't want to touch her breasts. But fear not, you Flash fans, because we are having a Supergirl Flash crossover that is a musical.
Yep.
A musical.
Uh-huh.
A mother effing musical.
A 2-parter that's going to be a musical.
A 2-parter musical. So it's so good that they're making a musical twice.
2 hours of that.
What exactly do we know what the plot is going to be? Is he going to hit his head or something?
Well, okay. You know, the thing I hear from a lot of people is, oh, well, you know, they did it on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Well, yeah, they did.
The 90s?
And they came up, being as it was a supernatural-based show, they came up with the idea that there was a demon who, you know, used singing as his way of controlling and whatever. I don't know how they're going to work it into the Flash and Supergirl, but the one thing I do know is comic book nerds everywhere love when their superheroes are put into musicals.
It's basically the show.
It's the worst idea. I already loathe Supergirl, and it's taken me a while to be won over by the Flash, because it's my favorite character from the comics, but I was not a big fan of the show. But now I've started to like it, and now I'm like, oh shit, we're gonna do a 2-hour crossover musical, for the love of God. I mean,
that's probably what they did in the series when they're looking at it. It's like, sir, people are starting to watch our show more and more. They're starting to like it. How can we stop this? Let's do a musical. That's going to tank our ratings. Genius.
This is going to be great.
This is going to be just as good as Suicide Squad. Good thinking. Seriously. I'm not against...
I think that it's really a huge misstep. I mean, The only thing I can think of is that they think that it'll appeal to the female viewers. That's the only thing, because I don't know one comic book fan that's excited about the prospect of a 2-hour musical.
Well, feminists are well known for their music and stuff, I guess. I don't know. It makes them ignore. I mean, a lot of shows do musicals, but like you said, I don't know one superhero story. I mean, Scrubs did a musical, and the way they did that is a woman got hit on the head, so every time she saw someone. You had Xena Warrior Princess, and she got pulled into hell or something like that.
That's about pretty appropriate.
Yeah. That was kind of funny. She got pulled into hell, and hell is apparently just this giant musical. And then, yeah.
I have to say, I'm really enjoying our new co-host behind you there.
Yeah, no. I'm just like screw it. Everything else has gone bad.
Every time we do the show, all of a sudden it just pops up and you don't notice it.
Everything. No, I knew it. I just wasn't pointing it out. Everything's going to hell anyway. So I'm like, why shouldn't I have the cat behind me? But you know what? Let's just keep it moving. Now, usually we have more to talk about. We got more trailers and things like that. But it's had some issues technically, and there hasn't been a lot going on. Let's talk about Don't Think Twice, which is a movie. Tell me about this Don't Think Twice movie. Is it something worth going seeing?
Oh, I think so. It's definitely one of those independent films that you'll probably only see like in an art house kind of thing. But it's written and directed by Mike Birbiglia, who's a comedian. And it's about an improv group, kind of like, say, Second City or Upright Citizens Brigade. And one of them gets an audition for Weekend Live, which is their way of doing SNL. And it basically, what ends up coming up is all the jealousies in the group and competition. And you see how these people who spend so much time doing improv, and the goal always seems to be making it onto SNL or Weekend Live, as they call it, like I said. And they actually, it's kind of interesting. They go into the actual back history of the beginnings of improv with Second City, and they have some actual archival footage from the 50s and 60s, which is very really interesting. And it's got such a great cast. You've got Keegan-Michael Key from Key and Peele, and Kate McCucci, who was on Scrubs and Raising Hope, and Garfunkel and Oates. I really liked this film and what it had to say. And at the end, there's a scene that just really packs an emotional punch. And I thought it was a really well done, low key comedy drama that I think I'd wish more people could see. I mean, it's only in my town for like a week, so that goes to show it's not something that's going to be a big box office bonanza or anything. But it's got a couple of cameos by like Ben Stiller and Lena Dunham, and I loved it. I thought it was great.
No one likes Lena Dunham.
I don't like her.
She's a bad person and
like
does bad things. Okay, cool. So, I mean, is it? You said it's only in yours for a week. So
yeah, it's one of those things. If you have like an art house theater or something, nearby you, that's probably where it'll be. It's not like it's going to be like on 10,000 screens or anything. Well
done. So I heard there was something, you had a pick. I didn't have a pick. Now, for those who are new, we do, and this is running actually really fast. Usually it's about an hour. It's been about 30 minutes, and we're already getting towards the end. As I said, it's an abridged. If you're watching this, generally we'll do lists. We'll talk about trailers, all kinds of movie news. But there's no movie news because, I don't know, God hates us, and like God exists. What is your pick of the week? Now, Michael and Tim do picks of the week. No one's here watching at that point, but they still do it, and it makes me feel better. So, since we still have some people watching, what's your pick of the week?
No, now that you've served it up so lovingly that I can't wait to
do
it.
I picked them up. You knock them down. I already set the stage.
Yeah, it's a beautifully restored Blu-ray of that martial arts classic, Five Deadly Venoms, directed by the great Shang-Chi. And usually when people talk about any martial arts film that's not Bruce Lee driven from the 70s, Five Deadly Venoms is one of the biggest ones. It's a beautiful film. They did a really great job on it. It's got great action in it. And, Shang-Chi was a director that he really cranked up the gore, even though it's totally friggin' phony. It's like, tempura paint red. It's real bad, but it's still it's a fun movie. If you like martial arts films, and I do, I think you will enjoy the Five Deadly Venoms.
Well, as Michael would say, I have not seen it.
No, never seen it.
Yeah. My pick of the week is the Gilmore Girls. That's right, the Gilmore Girls are coming out with 4 new movies to finish up the series because it sucked the way it finished beforehand. After they got rid of Amy Palladino, it went all downhill. So I don't know who the writer was after Amy Palladino, but you should never write again. Hopefully you were laughed out of the industry. You did a horrible job. You took characters that were excellent and you destroyed them. You're a bad person and you should feel bad.
Did you ever watch the sitcom Community?
Yes. I have seen Community.
I love that show. And there's a scene with Abed, who is Mr. Meta Media, and he's sitting there with the group, and Shirley starts raving about how great Brett Ratner is.
Okay.
And you're like, oh, I think he's a master of comedy, drama, and action. He's the new Spielberg. And he gets up and he looks at her and he goes, "You're a bad person."
Oh, but it's true. It's true. They're bad people, and they destroyed a good series. And I hate them personally.
So you're saying that they had new writing in the last season or something? Or?
They had new writers in the last, like the 4th, 5th, the last couple of seasons. So what happened is Amy Palladino was gone, and for all of those who care, I don't think you actually care, but so what happened is for 4 to 5 seasons, it was this off again, on again, Will, Lorelai, and Luke get together type thing, right? They finally get them together, and what do you think they do? What would be the worst thing you could possibly do after 4 effing seasons of getting these people together?
Put them with somebody else?
Yeah, exactly. But not only that, screw that. You know how we're going to break them up? We're going to give Luke a child that nobody knew about all of a sudden. So he's got a kid, and this kid breaks him up. Fucking fantastic writing. Thank you. 4 seasons. How many episodes are in a season? There's 10 to 12?
Like 22.
22. So for 4 seasons, an hour per, 22 hours times 4. So 22 times 4 is what? 88? 88 hours. Fucking days of my life, and you destroyed it.
Okay, I'll jump in on the womany show tirade. I used to watch Ally McBeal with my ex-wife, and I enjoyed the show, and then all of a sudden it just absolutely fell apart. The final season was a fucking nightmare, and they didn't even have the excuse like you were saying of changing writers. It just everything went out the window because it all started because Robert Downey Jr. got arrested for drug use again, and they had the clause in his contract that if he was ever caught with drugs, because he was really erratic at that time,
right,
that he was going to be fired. And so they had to completely change the storyline, which they had built all year with him and Ally McBeal, his character Larry Paul, getting married. They fell in love and they were going to get married. The chemistry between the two of them was so good. And because he got arrested, they fired him, and so they had to totally scrap what they were going to do. And then there was one more season after that, and they kept teasing with little clips, like brief little clips of past shots of you thinking, "Oh, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. They're gonna end the show with them reuniting, and they're gonna get together." No,
Never
He
happened.
never came. They never brought him back for even like one episode, and they just ended with her just kind of like leaving the firm. And you're like, what? What? What happened?
Oh, speaking of
bloody
worst
hell.
endings, too, it was just brought up in the chat. Roseanne, which I didn't watch religiously, but the
when she
ending.
won the lottery.
Yeah, but did you watch the last episode?
Where it was like a dream, or no, it was a story she wrote.
Yeah, where he actually died.
Janet actually died.
Yeah, and
oh my god.
Yeah, that's just fantastic writing.
Mike likes bringing up when St. Elsewhere ended up. It was all the thoughts of an autistic child in a snow globe.
That's what Mike
love
prefers.
that.
I just, guys, this has been the Untitled Show about nerdy stuff. For those I invited here and watched, this is usually a lot better than it was, and usually the sound doesn't F off. That just pisses me off. Got this brand new thing. I got this. Look at this, people. Look at that. Yeah, you see that? Forget the mess, but you see all that? Yeah, it's this brand new fancy. Now my
it's usually more like a 90-minute show, by the way.
Yeah, but I mean, and now my camera's messing up. But the thing is I set all this up so we can listen to stuff live, and it just doesn't work. Screw the police.
But the truth is, the cat looks pretty comfortable.
Look at him.
So, you know.
He doesn't care. He doesn't have a
like
care in the world. Yeah, in the world, man. But yeah, when you see the update. But anyway, screw the people who wrote the last couple episodes. Hopefully the new episodes of Mary Tyler Moore, what the hell was it? Gilmore Girls will be a lot better. Yeah. Oh, you were talking about Robert Downey Jr. We're going to end on this.
Mary Hartman?
No, Robert Downey Jr. Can you believe there's an entire generation of viewers who never knew Robert Downey Jr. had an issue with drugs? How old does that make you feel?
I gotta admit, he really is an inspirational story, because I was convinced he was going to be dead.
Right.
Because he was constantly getting arrested for drug use, and he OD'd. And if you ever see the movie Less Than Zero, he's a drug user in that film, and you really get the impression that's what was going to happen to him. Right. And he turned his life around. He looks great, and he's got a happy family, and he's on all these great Marvel films and stuff. So good for him. It can be done.
Guys, we are the Untitled Show about nerdy stuff. If you haven't, go ahead and comment below, as well as subscribe and like this show. We are the Untitled Show because we're not clever enough to come up with titles. I don't know how Michael always ends it. Something about, look at us, we're so clever because we're the Untitled Show, and there's not an actual title. Blah, 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 blah.